Hello, this is PTG ma'am, and this is the second part of the video, which is on Unit 1 of the Entrepreneurship textbook of Class 12. This video is especially for students who will be appearing for their boards examination this year in just a couple of days from now, and you start with your entrepreneurship exams in most of the schools, right? So if you have watched the previous video, you already know that I was discussing what is to be studied from Unit 1. I couldn't finish it because it's a long chapter and a very important chapter, so this is a continuation part of it. So if you haven't watched the first video, I would suggest you to go through it so that you understand what is being discussed in this particular video. So starting off with page number 8, because till page number 7 we have already discussed. Now coming to page number 8, the topic that you have is the analysis of the environment, which is very similar to the scanning of environment. Okay, scanning of environment definition was given on page 7 and analysis of the environment is given on page 8. Though these two means the same almost, but then also from the point of view of your examination, I would suggest that you try to keep in mind the exact definition for scanning of the environment and the exact definition for the analysis of the environment. This I'm telling you especially for the purpose of MCQs or 1-mark question where the lines are given and you have to give the exact word. Okay, so dash is the process of monitoring the economic and non-economic environment to determine whatever else is there. In this case, you write analysis of the environment and not scanning of the environment, though actually they mean the same. Okay. Now the next part which is important from here is the different sources from where you can collect information about the environment. Now you have 5 points here in your textbook, A, B, C, D, E. You have to remember these 5 points. This remains a very common question where either directly or in a case study form you are asked to mention the sources from where you can collect information about your environment, which is like you have verbal information from customers, records from companies, government publications, publications of various financial institutions and things like that. Okay, so you have 5 points, not very difficult to remember. Please try and remember that. Going to page number 9, a diagram is given. For your diagrams, I will always say you don't have to give you don't give a lot of time to it, but you just go through the diagram once because the diagram itself is the answer. So if you see the diagram, you can automatically understand what you have to write. Okay, if you know your subject, this is not a troublesome area for you. So just go through the diagram once, see what is it all about. Next, coming to the environmental factors, now you have business environment, the different the micro and the macro part. Obviously, the micro part was dealt in class 11. So when we are talking about class 12, the macro part, the pestle model becomes very, very important. Micro, just go through it once so that you know the elements of the micro part, okay? But give stress on the macro part, the pestle model, I mean. This remains a very, very important topic, especially for case study based questions, and this is very scoring also, because you are given a passage where an example is given where one person is either gaining from the environment or some threats are coming to him from the environment. Everything is mentioned there and you are asked to identify the elements that are affecting. It could be political, it could be social, it could be economic, it could be technological. So depending on what is given in your case study, you have to identify the different elements of the business environment. So this remains important. Please go through it in detail. This is on page number 9 and 10. Okay, the pestle model. The examples are also given in your book. So please go through the examples well. Next comes problem identification, which is on page 10. Problem identification, what is a problem? Okay, the definition, it's a roadblock, whatever is given, go through it once. I'm sure you don't have to spend much time on it. These usually comes for very short types of questions, so you should be aware of the line, okay, the concept. So what is a problem? What is problem identification? Why is problem identification important? That is the uses of problem identification. And you will see there are 4 points mentioned. This is on page number 11. Okay. Bringing out new products, understanding the problems and needs of the market and the people, in order to be creative, then increasing the employment generation part, opportunities, and also increasing the national income. So these are basically the uses of problem identification. You just keep 1 to 3 things in mind, and the rest you can just make out. This is what will happen if you can identify the problem, right? So this 4 points that is given on page number 11, the uses of problem identification. This is important. If you have your book in front of you, you can keep on highlighting the points which I am telling you, because through the research that we have been conducting, through our experience and all, we can tell you that these portions are important. Okay. Next, oh yes, this reminds me, when I was talking about your pestle model, students always gets a little confused between the political and the legal. Okay, now keep in mind, when we are talking about the political factor, it's mostly related to, the the government in power and the policies that are being taken because of the existing government. And some examples are also given in your book, like taxation policy, government stability, foreign trade regulations. These things keep on changing with government, So what is there this year might change in the next year. So this is mainly the political part. Now, when we talk about legal, these are already there. Some laws have been already passed regarding these. So like it could be the taxation laws, it could be employment related laws, okay, monopoly restrictive trade practices, those laws, and other legal things which are already there. So I do understand there is a chance of you getting confused between the political and legal, but my suggestion would be go through the lines 2-3 times, because sometimes what seems to be the answer is actually not the answer. You understand it only when you go through the lines and you read between the lines, you get the answer. So don't be in a hurry. You have 70 marks paper and you have 3 hours. So that way you have a lot of time. You can keep your cool and concentrate and think about it. Questions in which you are getting a little confused, give it some time. Leave it for the time being. Go for the next one. Maintain the serial order, but you can leave a space for that. Okay, come back to it later. So don't do something in a hurry. You make mistakes when you are in a hurry, and you don't need to be in a hurry. Accounts time is always short because there's so much of calculations. So accounts paper always seems to be very lengthy. Entrepreneurship paper will not be lengthy if you're actually answering it the proper way. Okay, it is a very good paper. You can finish it off within time. You will not face any problem, provided you have done your homework well. All right. Now coming to page number 11 only, you have idea generation. Again, go for the definition. The first 2 lines that you have in your textbook, idea generation. Remember the definition. Idea fields, again, same thing. Remember the definition. Okay, why am I always stressing on remembering? See, we don't encourage rote learning anymore. We don't ask students to memorize because we want the analytical part. But there are a few definitions, and going by the trend, looking into the question pattern, you will understand why I'm telling you to, memorize a few portions. I'm not asking you to memorize the entire chapter. I'm telling you specifically the lines because these are definitions. Okay, for these you have to, yes, go for a little bit of memorizing. So idea fields, like this line is very common. Dash is described as convenient frames of reference for streamlining the process of generation of ideas. Identify. So this will be idea fields. Like this. So for these questions, you have to know the lines exactly. Okay. All right. Now going to the various sources of idea fields, this area again is mostly, you get it for case study based questions. Natural sources, existing products and services, market driven, demand driven ideas, trade related ideas, service sector ideas. These sources of idea fields can come as a direct question. If it's coming for a direct question, no problem. So as I was saying, this part remains important for your case study based questions a lot, because if you go through your past papers, you will see many a times case study based questions have come from this portion where you have to identify the source of idea fields, and there also existing products and services, market driven and demand driven ideas, and I think the creative efforts. These three are very important. Okay, so how does it usually come? See, as a direct question, no problem. The question will be directly given to you, which can come as a 3 marks question, 4 marks question, 5 marks question also, because you have many points here. Can come in MCQ also. And when it's coming as a case study, then maybe a case study will be given as if somebody is developing a product or thinking of a business idea or introducing something in the market, taking into consideration a certain factor. Either he's getting some idea from the nature, or he is using those natural resources and developing something for the satisfaction of demands of the people, or maybe from an existing product he gets an idea to modify that and innovate something about it. Okay, that can be another case. Or maybe he has studied the market, he has done a market survey, and from the market itself he has understood that there is a demand for this particular thing or that particular service, like this. Okay, and trade related ideas, you know what are trade related ideas, service sector ideas are nowadays becoming very popular. Okay, and creative efforts, he is doing something which is totally different or is out of the box, like introducing a new product or service, or making some changes to the existing product and service, improvement made to the products and service, new process of doing something. So this way a case study can be given, and you will be asked to identify the source of idea field. So again, read it. For case studies, always read it at least twice. Even if you feel at the first go that yes, I know it, it's perfect, you might make a mistake. So read it twice, Okay, next comes what is product identification. Again, the definition is important. Then you will see on page 17, you have a diagram given, which is conversion of ideas into opportunities. Pictorial questions can come. So just go through your diagrams, read the text once, that's it. I think that will help you. That you can keep that in your mind. Okay, next comes another question is, why do we need to assess ideas and opportunities, which is there on page number 17. Okay, product, what are the steps involved in investigation? That is product identification. Okay, application and use, levels of operation, cost, competition. This particular portion, you just read it 2-3 times, because this can be a little confusing. So just read it. The more you read, the better will it will be better for you. Same way, market assessment is there, demand and all those stuff are there, which is page number 17 and 18. Now the portion which is very important is your trend spotting. Okay, if this comes, it's good, because this portion actually is very easy. Okay, so if you're getting question on trend spotting, good. Okay, so what is trend spotting? What are trends? These are common question. Then what are the different ways in which you can spot a trend? The read trend, watch trend, talk trend, and think trend. So all these 4 trends are there. For the past few years, you're getting a lot of question on this case study based questions or analytical questions. Now, one suggestion I will give you is, if you're getting this as a case study, or even for an MCQ, or in MCQ also, they will give you 2-3 lines as a short case study, and you can you have to read it to find out which method of spotting the trend they are talking about. Here, be a little careful, because see, we might read, we might talk, we might what was the other one? We might watch, but ultimately what we do is we think about it. So if your question is just talking about that a particular entrepreneur or a particular person is watching people around him, to understand the trend. Yes, so as I was telling you about the trend spotting part, which is important. Now, see, as I said, no, this can be a little tricky. At least for the last year, the question has been previously it was very direct. Like, they were telling a certain person is visiting a shopping mall or is sitting in a cafeteria and watching the people. So what kind of trend spotting method is being adopted? So when you watch, it's a watch trend, okay? Or maybe it was directly given that he is reading some publications, is going through the net, is going through everything that has been published, and that is helping him. So that is read trend, direct. The same way, he is maybe talking to some professionals or experts, or maybe interacting with his customers, and direct his talking and getting all reviews and answers, then that's talk trend. But now the question is given like, a person is visiting a particular place, sitting there, watching, going back, thinking about it, and finally taking into consideration all that he has seen, watched, or discussed. He is thinking of developing a product. So, what method of trend spotting is he adopting to? So, whenever this last line is added, where he's thinking about whatever he has seen, watched, or talked about, that no longer is think trend or watch trend or talk trend. That sorry, no, I made a mistake. Think trend definitely is there. Means it's no longer just a talk trend or watch trend or what was the other thing? Read trend. That becomes a think trend. Okay, I'm repeating once again because I have messed it up here. So what I'm saying is, if you're given a case study on the trend spotting part, read it carefully. If you just see that if the passage is talking about a person just watching people, then that is watch trend. If you just find that only indication about the entrepreneur talking to someone or talking to expert is given, then that is talk trend. Okay, if the passage only talks about that he is reading some publications or something which is already published on the net or magazines, journals, whatever, then that is read trend. But if the case study is given in such a manner where it is said that he is sitting in a place, he is watching people, then he is thinking of developing a product by taking all his observations into consideration, by whatever he has observed or whatever he has discussed with others or whatever he has read, and then finally he takes a decision, he thinks, he analyzes, and he develops, then that becomes a think trend. For MCQ, please keep this in mind, otherwise the answer will be wrong. I hope I have made it clear. Okay, next the last two portions that you have from this chapter is the creativity process, and you have the innovation, elements in the innovation process. This again you have to memorize because there are steps. Sometimes the steps can be jumbled up and you can be asked to rearrange it in proper order. Sometimes one step can be given and you can be asked to name the next two steps. Okay, or you can be given a step and you will have to identify the step. So it can come in different forms, but this remains important. And this line is also very important. Dash is the first stage in the process of innovation. This is for fill in the blanks and MCQ. This is very important. Dash is the first step in the process of innovation. The answer is creativity. So please keep these things in mind. And you will see, read the names very properly. Idea germination is the seeding stage. Okay. Preparation stage, you go through it. Incubation also, whatever is given, you do it. Verification has another name, actually two more names. Verification stage has validation or testing stage. So these two names you will have to remember. The same way goes for your innovation process also. So this is more or less about your first unit. I know this has been very lengthy, but I couldn't make it shorter because then I would have missed out the points. If this has helped you, please do share, like and subscribe, and wishing you the best for your boards exam.